The NHL 27 ratings are out, and for a second video in a row, I'm actually not mad about it. Is Bethany Bummer over for the summer? Probably not, but at least for now, we can talk about the positives that Jet Greaves and Zach Werenski got their flowers. They're getting some respect around the league. Finally, some respect on Zach Werenski's name specifically. We're going to talk a little bit about his ranking and also Jet Greaves' ranking, and we're going to also touch on some fun team news. Fun, not dumb, not buns, but fun. This is great. But first and foremost, make sure you subscribe to Blue Jackets Digest for all things Blue Jackets. We're going to have a lot to talk about this season, so make sure you subscribe to stay up to date for all of it. Now, just as an overview of the ranking system for EA Sports in the game, we are going to talk a little bit about the attributes that combine to generate that final overall rating, which is from a scale from 1 to 99. And goalies have a separate system as well. Yeah, they talk a little bit about positioning, glove, high-low, stick, recovery, breakaway, and all of that stuff in the goalie rating specifically. Now, just as a little preview of what the top 300 looked like in terms of where CBJ players lie in there. Zach Werenski being 6th overall, Marchenko 68th, Adam Fantilli 137, Jet Greaves at 163, and then Damon Severson getting some respect around the league as well. Matejchuk and Provorov having the same rating, and Charlie Coyle, Nichushkin, and Garland wrapping up those, and 270 and 290 actually was Voronkov, but his name didn't fit in the screenshot, but it will be in a later thing, so I'll talk about him as well. But of most interest, of course, being Zach Werenski's rating at 6th overall out of the top 300 players. He is a top left defenseman in the league by this standard, that 95 overall rating, and it puts him above Quinn Hughes, which is huge because, as we know, I was pretty upset about the NHL media rating Zach Werenski as 3rd overall, even though he just won the Norris Trophy, and that's supposed to indicate the best defenseman, but they were like, actually, but we're gonna rank you not first because we hate you and we hate the Blue Jackets, is what I imagine the NHL media saying when they made that, just to frustrate me even more so. Now, EA Sports in the game, giving some respect to Zach Werenski, putting him 1 overall on the top 10 left defenseman with that 95 overall rating, above Quinn Hughes, which is great. We love to see it, okay? And just in terms of why he would be ranked above Quinn Hughes, it looks like, based on this rating here, he has a better slap shot and wrist shot than Quinn Hughes. That's the SLP and the WSP. Passing and deking are less. Speed is less. Acceleration is less. But the shot is what counts in this case, it looks like. Now, I will say, guys, finding how they actually, what all of these abbreviations were, what a trip for me. But we're done with that for now. We're going to jump into a little bit of the goalies as well, because I thought it was quite interesting how they chose to rate the goalies in this case. Now, of course, here's the top 10 goalies list. I'm actually going to switch to this view to see it a little bit better, but you've got your top 6 that were listed in the NHL media list, of course, and then rounding out that bottom, Ettinger again, of course, Wallstedt. And then you have Lucas Dostal and Dustin Wolf, which I think are interesting choices. And I would not choose those, obviously. We already talked about my opinions on Jet Greaves being a top goalie in the league. But the good news about what's happening with these rankings for NHL 27 is that Jet Greaves, originally what we were seeing is that his rating was 73 was his overall rating. I don't know where the heck that came from, but the good news is that's not what his rating actually was. So take a breath, guys. He's not a third string goalie as the 73 overall would imply. Instead, we have him at 86 overall, falling in at 163 in the top 300 players, which is great. Okay, we're chilling now that we know this. Okay, he's not ranked at 73 overall. Maybe that was last year's score or something like that. I have no idea where that came from, but it's false news, fake news. So that's good. Okay, So take a deep breath. Elvis Merzlikins was not on this list that I saw. This is just the top 300 players, and this is just the list of the CBJ players that were on that list. Again, you can see Zach Werenski top of that list, Kirill Marchenko having an 89 overall, Adam Fantilli and Jet Greaves and Damon Severson all with an 86, and then the end of the list ending with the 84 overall rankings as well. Now, just to take a look furthermore about Jet Greaves and his rating specifically, you can see here he falls into kind of this, he's by my head count 18th ranked for this list of goalies specifically. You can see the 86 overall score. The 91 represents speed and the 83 represents passing. Now, I don't exactly know how they determine those for goalies. And you're also seeing a lot of zeros across the board. So my question now is this going to change? Is this ranking going to change as they gather more statistics and determine more of goalie specific things? We talked a little bit before about from their overall rankings, how they rank these things: positioning, glove high low, stick, recovery, and breakaway. How do you none of those are necessarily listed in this situation here, so it's a little bit confusing. But what I will say about this, and this is what I found most notable compared to the NHL media list where they had Dobesh and Vladar on the top 10, here you have Greaves falling in between Dobesh and Vladar. So it's almost like possibly Greaves might be better than at least one of them, at least by this ranking. But it's very interesting to see how the different rankings match up. Now, of course, I will also mention something that I noticed that might be of interest to people. This list I don't think is 100% accurate, and I don't know if something has changed since that list was made into a graphic or something like that, but Scott Wedgwood was actually on the list, I believe in between Wallstedt and Dostal, as an 87 rank, and so he would have actually fallen into that top 10 of goalies, but he's not on this list, so I'm a little confused about where he's at, and that makes me also question, of course, this list. Is this going to change further? I'll keep an eye on it. I'll let you guys know. I just feel like there's a lot missing in terms of how they came up with these ratings so far. And of course, we saw the 73 overall from earlier, and maybe that's where that came from. Maybe they had started making these lists and didn't finish it, and I don't know. But moving on to something a little bit more positive, a little bit more fun, something team related, we have seen that came out about the hometown remix jerseys for 2026-2027. Super excited about this. Now, it sounds a little bit to me like the City Connect jerseys for the MLB, which everybody has their opinions on. I mean, I live in Boston, so I like the Red Sox ones. I think the Green Monster one is sick. But everybody, every team does it a little bit differently. So it'll be interesting to see how the NHL teams will, celebrate the fans, the city, and the local culture of each team. We'll see how this, ends up going. But this has been something that has been in the works for quite some time, it seems. Rumors have been swirling around this. And so, of course, a podcast about CBJ asking, what are you hoping to see be represented with the Columbus Hometown Remix collection? Now, my favorite place in Columbus is the German Village and the German Book Loft. So, but I don't think they're going to put a book loft on a jersey, perhaps. So, I don't know. But of course, the comments had some opinions that they shared with the podcaster themselves. The cannon needs to be prominently featured. That was the favorite part of the Stadium Series jersey. Possibly some leaning into the Civil War era, a mascot that leans into that, and maybe a jersey that leans into that. And then, somebody also suggested connecting it to the Columbus Chill. And that seems to be a pretty popular theory as well, that it might be connected to the Chill. And so that's really interesting to think about as well. Now, other fans online, of course, speculating about what they would like to see. Maybe a Stinger green jersey with Boomer on it. Ooh, guys, can we stay away from Stinger green? I look terrible in that shade of green. But for all of those who are concerned about wearing lime green or whatever you would classify that as, apparently the CBJ version will be gray. A sigh of relief. I love gray. Gray's a great color. I love it. And it also relates to the Columbus chill. So that's similar to what that other comment had said. Hoping for something chill related. Chill were super important to proving to the NHL that Columbus could be a hockey town. So that would kind of point to the history of the NHL in Columbus, and be a bit of history in a different way, hockey history more than, general United States history, which would be interesting to lean into. Now, this is, of course, these rumors have been going around for months. So you can see that there have been, plenty of jersey ideas floating around. And this one it's kind of similar to the Stadium Series jersey with that big cannon in the middle. I actually love this jersey. I would buy this in a heartbeat. I think it's so cool. I'm like looking into it. Sorry. But yeah, you can see it's very similar. Has that C patch with the Ohio. I think that's really cool. And honestly, anytime you can put a cannon on a jersey, I'm interested. So I love this one. I would be interested to see if they try to also incorporate the chill into it as well. I believe the chill jerseys, some of them had like some stripes on the arm, almost with like claw marks. That would be interesting. Or possibly using the same font on the back as the chill had. That would be interesting as well. But I don't know. I like the gray better than the Stinger green, that's for sure. And I think they're going to want to do something other than navy, since that is the, main jersey color to begin with. But what do you guys think about this? What jersey do you want to see? Make sure you leave a comment below, and thanks so much for watching.